I think, okay. I don't know whether my screen is frozen for you, but I'll carry on regardless. I just want to open on time. We've got a big meeting, and welcome all of you for coming along, and absolutely welcome all these amazing speakers who have agreed to come along here today and speak about democracy and socialism. And there couldn't be a more serious time for us to be debating this particular subject. Without democracy, there will not be socialism. You know, it's at the heart of our movement. I just want to go through the running order of this meeting to let you know how it's going to play out. So welcome to all of you. And the running time will be for 2 hours. I'll be the chair. I'm Audrey White, and I'm from Merseyside Pensioners Association and an activist all my life. And so I'll be chairing the first half of the meeting, and Matthew Jones will be from the Campaign for Mass Workers Party will be chairing the second half, which will be a Q&A. We'll be going for about 2 hours, which is a long time on Zoom, but we'd like, you know, as many of you as possible to ask questions or make a short contribution. I think it's important that we all get the chance to have a say, but on a meeting this size, obviously it's going to be very difficult, but we'll do our best. Both Jeremy and Zara were both invited to this meeting. It would have been magnificent to have had the two of them here, and Zara agreed to come, but at 2 o'clock this afternoon, I'm afraid she I got a message to say that there was a family emergency, and she did hope to do a recording for us, but unfortunately hasn't been able to do that. But she's actually sent a message which I will read out later on, where she was going to speak in the meeting, if that's okay. So it's a packed agenda, some brilliant speakers, and as I say, the audience is important to hear. But I'd like to say to all of you is to keep to time. You know, the speakers who are giving up their time will have a maximum of 5 minutes. And during the Q&A, we'll ask people to speak only to 2 minutes. So, you know, if you're preparing something to say, please make sure it's to the point, exactly what you want to say, and short. So I think all these things are important, you know, because we are an inclusive movement, even though we're on Zoom and we can't do face-to-face, because these things on this scale can't happen regularly in face-to-face meetings. But this is often discussed in our pensioners meeting, and I think it really is an important thing to acknowledge. So hopefully people can hear all right, and the people can partake in the meeting. So I just want to give a bit of a background, and I don't want to talk in terms of, you know, all the other speakers have got important things to say, and they've got a very good knowledge of the situation, as much as we all know, as much as any of us knows, really. But I think we've got to look in terms of the party, and obviously its links to democracy, and people will be covering different areas of things that are important to us at this particular point in time. And you'll see that as we go along. But I want to say this, that this party is going to fly. I think we have to have our confidence in the working class, because the working class themselves knows how to organise, and they know what's fair, but they also know what's wrong, and they know what's not transparent, and they know what isn't democratic, and they also know what betrayal is. We've lived through too much betrayal to face that betrayal again. So these are the discussions we've got to have all the time in our movement. I think that's ABC, that we've got to talk to people who have no experience in the movement, young people coming into the movement, and it's not a big rush and a push and the land is theirs or the land is ours. It's actually work. It's hard bloody work, and we've all done it all our lives, and there's never ever been more of a need to actually buckle down, get on with the job and build socialism. And for that, we need a party that's functional, democratic, accountable, and will not let anybody who represents us anymore betray us. We will destroy the far right, but we can only destroy the far right when we destroy the very conditions that lead to the far right. And that's the task ahead of us. I hope you don't mind the fact that I'm a terrorist, and there's one or two other terrorists in the audience. But if you do, if you do object to these terrorists, I think you're in the wrong meeting. So, you know, we can have a joke. We can have a joke, but I've never known a period of time when what we do is so crucial. And the times are so frightening. I don't know about you. I wake up with the feeling of dread and a commitment to do more. And I think we have to all do more. More for Palestine, more for building our movement. And I'm really over the moon to see the young people that are coming into our movement now. And, you know, hopefully we will learn from them and they will learn from us. So I'd like to take up no more of your time and introduce our first speaker, who is known to all of us, and he's known as a filmmaker. He is a winner of 2 Palme d'Ors. Why do I always say that when I introduce Ken Loach? Because Ken is a very talented man. He's like a lot of people that are coming now in the movement, using their talents, not feathering your own nest, but using the talents that you have and developing those talents for their activism. And of course, Ken Loach's activism is always be to build a voice for the working class and to fight for a party that will bring the changes that are needed. So I don't like to embarrass you anymore, Ken, but you are an amazing class fighter. So if you'd like to start your contribution, I think Pam needs to unmute you.
Do they not need to unmute him? We have to ask him. Where is Ken? We might have to ask him.
There's Ken right in the middle of my screen. Oh, he's gone now.
I can't see him.
Ken, can you hear
him?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
Very good. Audrey, I can't live up to that billing. Anyway, thanks a lot. Look, there's I think hard to measure the anger and the disappointment and the confusion and the depression and the frustration and simply the rage in so many people at what has happened in these last few days. We cannot understand it. And it is to think that this historic opportunity is on the verge of being wasted, or at least diminished by this behavior, is simply unacceptable. Simply unacceptable. As Audrey has said, the objective need for this party could not be greater. I mean, we have Labour moving to the right. There is no presence for a party that represents the interests of the working class, working people, by hand or by brain, by hand and by brain, as we know. And it is unaccountable that this manoeuvring has apparently gone on for some time. It is simply unacceptable. And whoever is responsible, they should hold their heads in shame. I mean, I think it is unconscionable to even think of wasting this extraordinary moment. As I say, the objective need is apparent. We have the problems at home, and all the other parties fleeing to the right, apart from the Greens, and I think the Greens have will not go beyond a certain level, and they have the amazing unifying, terrible struggle over the genocide of the Palestinians, and that has brought hundreds of thousands onto the streets. And to think, in those circumstances, we cannot rise at this occasion is a terrible, terrible indictment, if it were to happen, of the left. It fulfills the caricature that we suffer from the right wing and the press and the broadcasters. And it is shameful, and it must end. It must end. Whatever influence we have on those involved, they must stand aside. The communications we've had from the centre have been slow and increasingly irrelevant, and we've wasted so many weeks when we should have been organising. And the dates were announced with no organisation to support them. So it is shameful, and I think we are entitled to be angry and to tell them, if you can't, well, you can't do it, step aside. And we need open transparency. And the first job is to organise, find good organisers in all the regions, get delegates selected, get together, and then really organise all the things that need to be organised, and people then join. Anyway, enough of that. I wanted to, if there's time, Audrey, just very quickly to look forward. Let's hope we get through this dark time, and let's hope we have a conference, and in that we have to either plan for another conference, or at that time we have to have a constitution that has been prepared, that has been passed around, discussed with various choices. In that constitution, there will be a series of principles on which we stand. So that we don't overlook these big issues in our dismay at what is happening. If I can, I just very quickly want to suggest some of the principles that we might consider. First of all, a socialist economy. What is it? I think it's best encapsulated by the old clause 4. Every worker, everyone who works, is entitled to the full fruits of their labour. And that is the essence of a socialist economy, because there's no room for profit. It is the essence of their labour based on common ownership of production, distribution and exchange, and also the public services, public utilities, and with the equitable distribution of wealth. That is a socialist economy. That is our strategic aim. Secondly, we need a new welfare state. And again, to quote the old maxim, to ensure security for all our citizens, and based on from everyone according to their ability. So everyone has a responsibility to contribute to all according to their need, from the cradle to the grave. Now that's a society we want. People in need are supported. We all contribute what we can, and that's a society of equality, justice, compassion, how we want to be treated. Then the environment is a massive subject, and we must have a protected environment. Must be a principle of ours to preserve all forms of life, creatures, plants, whatever is there, whatever grows, whatever lives. We must sustain it. No more categories and species being lost, land being lost. We have to have a sustainable planet. Thirdly, we must, fourthly, rather, this must be a key element to us. We must stand for the rule of international law, and we must stand for the protection of the universality of human rights for all people. And that must be, that is a basic principle of this party. International law, universality of human rights. And I think allied to that is upholding a United Nations, a reformed United Nations with no vetoes. If you've learned one thing from Gaza, no vetoes, and a court system of courts that with settled disputes peacefully. And if they don't, we want a genuine peacekeeping force. This is my suggestion. I can't say it's been used before, but it's a lesson from Gaza. A peacekeeping force that has the power to impose international law and prevent war crimes. Because at the moment we have, the whole world sees a genocide and nobody can move. And we cannot allow that in the future. So it's on those lines, and of course opposition to all forms of racism and discrimination, but including that, opposition to movements and ideologies that promote racial superiority or priority. And now we can fit anything that promotes racial superiority or control over others. That is in itself something we oppose. That includes fascism, of course. And again, we're seeing that today. And that should be a principle of our party. There are others, maybe to do with public control of communications. So that because democracy depends on the free flow of information and opinion, and also access, something featured in the 45 manifesto, access to sport for all, to leisure time, sporting facilities, and our great cultural heritage, which is now diverse. Access to that. That's what give us bread and roses too. I mean, that's part of a great life. Now, these are the kind of principles I think we want. This is not a program for an election. It is the ground. It is the rocks on which we stand. The election program is to fit those great ideas into the demand of the day. But we must. It's just a thought I wanted to share past with you, because that's what I think. It's the things on those lines we are building for, and it has to be all discussed. Others will have better ideas, I'm sure. Anyway, that's a thought. We've got to get there. We can get there, but only if we demand immediate, full democratic procedure, transparency, and the power must stay at the bottom, never at the top. It is the power is always with the people. Thanks very much. Solidarity.
Thanks very much, Ken. Absolutely wonderful. The clarity that you give our movement over all these years is absolutely valueless. It really is. We just need to get that voice out there, those ideas out there, and keep building around them. They were beautifully put in the origins of the Labour Party. Some of those things are, people haven't heard these demands before, and so we really do have to build on them.